G'day, Stu from UAV Futures here, and today, well, something that a lot of you guys in the Northern Hemisphere and all that snow and the freezing indoor FPV sort of weather, you guys are going to love it. This is the Makerfire little FPV micro drone. Now, this thing looks very, very familiar to a lot of people out there who love the Tiny Whoop, and this is pretty exciting for me because look, I have a lot of drones, yes, but I actually don't have a Tiny Whoop. I've got one of the Eachine, sort of the little, it was like a little one like this, but it didn't have the camera, and I never got around to actually building a Tiny Whoop. So one of these came across my bench. I'm pretty excited because this will be sort of my first real experience with this Tiny Whoop style of craft, so we're able to fly it around, and it should be perfect for indoors. Now, the thing that I really love about this, and I think a lot of people are going to like, there's no soldering, and this is one of the quickest and easiest drones to get set up and get flying. I bound it to my Taranis. I did use a model, but usually there's a little bit of mucking around and things like that. I reckon this thing was on my correct VTX channel and bound to my Taranis, set up, ready to rock and roll within 5 minutes. So that was a really, really pleasant surprise, because often in the past I've had some issues with binding, and especially when I'm using Spectrum and Taranis and things like that. But this one was super easy. So what we're going to do, we're going to stick it on the bench. We'll quickly take it apart. I'll show you how clean it is on the inside. We'll weigh it and talk about some of its little features. And then we'll go for a zoom around indoors. Anyway, let's get started. Alrighty, so here they are on the bench. Here's what you get in the kit. You also get, just very quickly, it comes in this cool little box where you could keep it safely stored, and also if you get some spare batteries you could put it in just there, so that's pretty cool. But what you actually get in the kit, I've got two different colors right here, so you only get one obviously depending on which one you choose. But we've got the red and the green. I'm not sure which one looks cooler, but I definitely think that the red one is going to stand out a bit better if you do take it outdoors and lose it. But let's break it down a little bit more and have a look at what you actually get. So of course, you're going to get they come with a battery, and they also come with like a little USB charger. They probably take about maybe half an hour to charge, and the battery is a 200 milliamp hour one cell LiPo that simply plugs in. It does have a little bit of a different connector. I'm not sure if this is the same as what's on the normal Tiny Whoops or those batteries that they use, but this is the one that it comes with. I've never seen that connector before, but then again, I don't have a Tiny Whoop. So we're going to put that to the side. Flipping it over, you can see it is very, very similar to I think it was like the, hang on, I'm going to go grab it. Okay, here it is. Sorry, this was in the old office room, but flipping it over, you can see it's very, very similar to the E010, the Eachine right there. So exactly the same frame, same bottom plate and everything. So I suspect that yeah, it's from the same factory. So putting that to the side, everything else is pretty standard except for the board this actually uses. So this one in here has some actual different components, and what we're going to do right now, we'll take the top off and we'll talk about the FPV camera, why I think the sort of the top section is so good, and then I'll show you how we bind it up and get flying. Now it's got just these two little screws right here that simply unscrew. They hold the canopy in, and I was amazed just how I guess compact and clean everything was in here. There was only really like two wires. Everything looked fantastic. So with the top off, you can see just how clean everything is. You've just got two wires connected right here, and that's everything that powers your FPV system. But the board is an F3 board, which is fantastic, and I've plugged it in and it is running Betaflight, which is great. It's got the USB port on the bottom right here, some plug and play motors, so if you do blow a motor you can actually just plug in some new ones with some little ports right there. And it was so easy to bind, so I think the boot button, the bind button for this, because it's also got an inbuilt receiver, which we'll talk about a little bit in a moment as well. When you power it on, you simply just have to hold that button in, and it should bind up straight to your, I guess, your module if you've got one of those Spectrum radios or a module in the back of your Taranis. Now, the other part I loved about this, and this is probably the part that I like the most compared to some other Tiny Whoops that I've seen, is just how light this shell canopy is and how well protected this antenna, well protected, but how robust I should say this antenna is going to be, because this part here, this is made out of some really, look, it feels really, really cheap, almost like, you know, like a kid's mask or something like that, those plastic masks, like a Ninja Turtle mask or something like that. That's what it feels like this is made out of. But it does the job perfectly, and it is on a 10 degree angle as well, so you're going to have a tiny bit of angle when you're flying around, which is fantastic in that forward flight. So you're not going to be staring at the ground, I guess, too badly. You can plug this in obviously and set it up every single way that you like, but check out how easy it is to change your VTX channels. That's another thing that I like, so I'm just going to pop the top off right there. We're going to plug in the battery, and I'll cycle through the channels. I'm going to put this on, I think, 5860 is what I've been flying lately, so we'll go through and do that. Alrighty, so I'm just going to plug the battery in right here. You can see everything's turning on. We've got all our lights on and those sorts of jazz. But looking here at the VTX, I love it when this is my favorite type of VTX menu actually. I don't like the dip switches too much, and I don't really like the pushing the one button. I like it when you can see exactly what channel and band you're on. So simply see that little green LED is moving every time I press the channel. So I'm on channel 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And to change bands, you simply hold it down, which is the top LED. 1. Hopefully that goes to the next one, 2, 3, you know, etc, etc. I'm not going to go through the whole lot, but well, actually I probably am to get back to the one because I'm on number 1, but I wanted to show you. Just change the channel. But super easy to change your VTX channel. No mucking around, because I know it can be a little bit difficult to some people out there. There we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's on my channel right now. But super easy to change the VTX. That's one thing that I do love about this one as well. And look how clean and light that is. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put it back together and we'll put it on the scales and see how much it weighs, and then we'll take it for a little spin. Let's weigh the thing. So the actual drone itself, minus the battery, coming in at 22 grams, so very light. Sticking that on there, so 27 grams all up. Also, one of the things I wanted to show you, just how easy this is to bind up to your Taranis. What you have to do, simply hold, well, it's a bit easier said than done. I'm gonna have to use, excuse me, right here, hold that bind button that's under there, plug this in. You'll get the little rapid blinking blue LED. Hopefully you guys can see that in there. Then once you've got your module in the back, hold in your bind button, turn it on.
Welcome to OpenTX.
Thank you, young lady. You can see that red light's blinking through, and now it's on a solid blue. This is bound. This is ready to, you know, you could plug this up to CleanFlight, choose your modes, or if you were happy with the way it was configured on the radio, you can just take this out and get flying. Anyway, that's exactly what we're going to do. Let's put this up in the air and give it a little spin around. Alrighty, so here we are flying around on board with the Tiny Whoop, and two things straight off the bat that I want to talk about. Number one, I thought those prop guards were going to bug me because they're going to be right in the way of my vision, but I didn't really notice. There's the Prego wife sitting on the couch, but it turns out I didn't really notice that at all when I was flying around. And number two, you can see that it's sort of a CMOS camera there, and it's not quite as clear when you're focusing. It sort of does get washed out when you're pointing it towards some bright lights. So those windows at the back, those doors there, make it very difficult to see. So there's the old UAV Futures office, and it was actually kind of an interesting experience flying this. It sort of took a little bit to get used to, I guess, before I felt like I could push it. Not push it, but I could fly a little bit faster, sort of get my feet and head around this thing. That it doesn't have as much power, even though it's got those ducts, and look, it is, I guess, averagely efficient. I was getting, I think, about 2 minutes on a flight, but on this flight anyway. But when I was flying around, I did notice that it does lack a little bit of power. So right there where I tapped the ground, I think in my other micros I would expect to be able to pull out of that, but because of this thing, maybe because it's so such smaller props and things like that, it does have a little less power, but still very quick. You can see here, still very maneuverable, very fun to fly around, and yeah, a really cool little quad. Probably perfect for maybe some beginners out there as well, because you could also fly it line of sight, I think, quite easily for some little kids, and it's not going to hurt if you crash into anyone. So for my first sort of delve into the Tiny Whoop style drone, I had a ton of fun with this thing, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it when they're flying around, especially because there's no soldering or anything like that, and it just binds up. Well, if you've got a module, it does bind up to your radio. So yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying this thing buzzing around. I think this is coming towards the end. Yeah, I had to try to go through the kitchen, stacked it there, and then I think the missus gave it a little bit of a wave there. Mrs. UAV Futures. Alrighty, so there it is. There's my review of the Makerfire Micro FPV drone, or that's such a mouthful to say, I guess, the Tiny Whoop clone right here. Nothing new or too exciting, but still a ton of fun, because the Tiny Whoop's been around for ages. It was a massive hit last year, and I can't believe it's taken me so long to get my hands on one of these. But I really do like the shell that comes with this. That keeps it really lightweight, and I guess protects everything and makes it very robust in the crashes. I think this thing is going to do pretty well. Anyway, I actually got sent 2 of these, so I'm probably going to be sending one of these out to my Patreon supporters, but I don't know what color to keep, the red or the green. So whatever color you think is best, that's the one that I'm going to send off. So drop them in the comments below, I guess, if you think the red looks better, or if you think green, if I should send off green. Drop them in the comments below so I can send them off to one of my Patreon supporters. Anyway, subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying. Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAV Futures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.